Hello and welcome to the Black Tower. I am your host, your guide, and your brother, the Sorcerer Aramonasul. Alright, so, probably gonna make a couple of videos tonight. I know I'm gonna do two at least, but this one, I'm gonna go over enlil. We wanna do the, Covenant of the Air, which is, of enlil, because, we're doing the covenants, and the covenants in general represent agreements with the lords of, or the gods of four directions, or whatever you want to think of them as, but with those powers, and that they are the symbolic parts of yourself, of your being, as in flesh. Well, anyway, so let's go over a little bit about enlil. So enlil is the Lord of the Air. Okay. Now, anybody who's done any research on enlil comes to find out that, enlil was actually worshipped greatly and revered, and he was known as the Lord of the Air. Okay. Also of tempest and storms, amazingly, strangely enough, which anytime you're doing research or study on different beings, you're going to find that they have like a duality to them. Kind of like a masculine, feminine, or an active, passive, or, anything like that. Okay, but like with enlil, Lord of the Air. So let's go over that just a bit, okay? Lord of the Air, which is, airs. When we think of airs, what do we think? We think knowledge, the intellect, so mind, right? Also, you got to think breath, okay? Enlil would be more along the lines of the sacred breath. You know how you need oxygen to breathe, and breathing actually involves being alive? Well, think of enlil as being over that process, okay? So not just mind, but of the air. In ancient times, it was thought that that spirits entered and left through the mouth. Amazingly enough, interestingly enough, I should say, not amazing, but interesting. Okay. There was a lot of things, like you've seen movies and stuff where it shows evil spirits leaving in the form of toads, or snakes, or serpents, or frogs, or flies, okay? Like as in the form of Beelzebub. Things like this. So enlil, he's kind of like the guardian, the protector. He protects what goes in and the what comes out thing, okay? But also, what it also says is that in the research concerning enlil himself, it is through enlil's decree that a king rules, and also the overthrow or the fall of kingdoms throughout history and so forth and so on is also attributed to enlil going, nah, not gonna work. No. I'll let somebody else take over for a while. As in ancient civilizations that were taken over by other nations, other people. Okay. Now, interestingly enough, I was going over some notes and things on enlil, and I really wanted to put something together besides just the covenant, because I like to educate, present knowledge concerning these things that you're doing, why you're doing it, what is it, so forth and so on. Kind of in a really weird way, incense is an element or a tool that we use to represent air itself, as our feathers, so forth and so on. But the incense that equates to enlil is actually lavender. Now, my wife uses lavender quite a bit. That and jasmine, she loves them. But it's kind of interesting because her thing is she's an air sign, so of course air sign quality, so it kind of works. Now, enlil does not just rule over the air; he also rules over the netherworld. Now, the netherworld can be seen as a form of underworld ruling, and in so doing, he might. But you don't need to think underworld with this one. You need to think netherworld, beyond the stars. You've heard of the cosmic winds. Then you have a great idea of enlil and how far his reach really actually holds. So, through enlil, not only do kings and uh, dictators and everybody else hold their authority of their reign, or bosses at like Burger King or wherever, anybody that has control, like managers, so forth, so on, you know. But when you think about it, think of like the cosmic winds also. So even the gods rule. You know, you think of the Philpott cross, which was delineated, turned sideways, twisted, and made into the swastika. Right side up, just looks like a windmill. Well, it's interesting because the four directions are symbolic of the Big Dipper and how they change in the night sky depending on the 4 times of year, which is very interesting if you think about it. But the winds that blow that whirlwind, or this windmill, is why I bring this up. So the being that pushes and that causes things to go into motion is enlil. Okay, so another good reason to make this covenant or to work with enlil in general, or to make the connection and to create the covenant and all this other stuff, is so that your words have power. Because when you empower your words, when you speak and you speak something into being, or you curse something, or you banish things with your words, or whatever like that, enlil is over the empowering of the words, and words are created from air moving and breathing, and then through sound, the vocal cords, so forth, so on. Okay, well, with that in mind, then you kind of get a deeper idea of enlil. Okay, there was this thing called the procession of the gods. Okay, now in the procession of the gods, it was saying that gods rule for a certain eon, and then as the eon changes, and it was called the equinox of the gods, was when one god's rule would stop and another god's rule would take over. Like for right now, we're in the eon of Horus. Okay, and the being attributed with making sure that time and movement itself occurs is enlil. This is why he is of the netherworld. Now, a rather strange thing, and this is the connection to the underworld concerning enlil. If enlil is over the airs and over the breath, and once again, the breath was the sacred breath, the spark of life inside us as humans. When we go to do the Ganzir gate walking, that it is literally enlil who protects the breath of life, so that when going through the death process, that it is not stolen or taken, and it also protects you from being possessed or anything nasty that you wouldn't want to happen when you're trying to undergo the Ganzir gate walking. So it's important all these things be done and in their time and in their place and order. Now, before we get to the actual covenant itself, when are you supposed to do the covenant of enlil? You can do the covenant of enlil literally like you could the watcher at any time. Now, it's important you do the covenant of the watcher first, then you do the covenant of Anki, then you do the covenant of the fire god Gishbar, and now you do the covenant of enlil. Now, what's going to be very interesting about this is that we have gone from north to west, south to east. Or, I think I got that backwards, didn't I? Oh, boy. Anyway, but I think it went north, west, east, south. Yeah, like a lightning bolt. Check that. It's kind of cool. Anyway, but what we're going to be doing is that's right, because east is fire, blah, blah. I always get so confused in some of these things because low magic, high magic, stuff like that, they attribute them different things, and in the necronomicon it is different. East is fire, which is strange, and south is air. So it went north, west, east, south. So, like a lightning bolt. I got to remember that. Okay? Now, let's get on with the actual covenant. Now, once again, I created this covenant on my own. It's one that I used, that I did. You're going to need your Agamasaratu. You're going to need your aura that you're going to place on the altar. The Agamasaratu goes on top of the aura, or 5-point star, whatever. You're going to need 3 tea lights, and you're going to need a stick incense of lavender. Or if you can fit a stick of incense in the Agamasaratu, even better. It doesn't really matter, just as long as the incense fits in the Agamasaratu. Do you see how the Agamasaratu keeps being used? It is because it's not just the offering unto the watcher. It is what you use to make the holy water of Enki. It's it's where you create the sacred fire unto Gishbar. And now, above all things, it's where you control air. So the Agamasaratu, is not just to be misunderstood as, it's just a tool, blah blah blah. No, it is wow. If you kind of think of it, it is a creation of earth, and therefore it's a solid piece. And whereas normally in magic, like you would have a pentacle or a disc, well, it would sit on the altar. It would never be used, right? Well, in this instance, the Agamasaratu is passed around like crazy. It's used insanely. So it's like being able to actually get to put the element of the object for the element of earth to good use. You get to actually do something with it. So, that's going to shake and stir things up a little bit. But anyway, you're going to need your 3 tea lights, one at the top left, one at the top right, one at the very bottom, okay? Incense in the middle. Normally you would put a candle, but for this we're not going to use a candle inside the Agamasaratu because we're not doing a Gishbar. We are putting incense in it because we are doing this unto enlil. So, tracking just a piece. Top left, you want to go to page 144 of the Necronomicon. God of the Covenants, Aranuna, up there where the page is turned. That one right there. You're going to want to invoke Aranuna. Okay? Once you've invoked Aranuna, light the candle, invoke Aranuna. Invoke in whatever fashion you can. But when you invoke with the intent to create a covenant, because he is God of the covenants, and therefore is you, like I said, you want them to know why you're calling them. Now the top right, if you haven't already figured it out, Nanib, gatekeeper of Saturn, wow, right there. That is on page 33 of the Simon Necronomicon paperback. We love this book. Boy, do we love this book. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to summon Nanib with the intent to witness the covenant. Because see, Aranuna is the God that you invoke. Because Aranuna, as the God of the covenants, as a God of the covenants, must be there for the covenant to be created. Nanib must be summoned because a being that is summoned stands watch. And as watch, it's a witness. And so, in the Trinity of our rites, we have the God of the covenants in the place of the actual creator of what we're working to create. Second one that we're summoning to witness. So it stands in the place of the witness. And then at the very bottom point, we light that candle. Call enlil. Okay? Enlil with the intent to create a covenant with him. Okay? Now, here's what I've got and how I did mine and wrote it down. Light bottom candle, call forth enlil to create a covenant with him. And a loud, clear voice say, Lord of the air, God of the sacred breath, I come before you that I may create a covenant with thee, as it is lawful to do, according unto the covenant of old. You got to take up the Agamasaratu, bring it up about face level. Breathe in the incense real deep. Clean the temple, O mighty enlil. You're going to want to wave the smoke over your chest, your throat, and your face. Empower the temple, mighty enlil. Set the Aga Maserati back down upon the aura. State clearly. You're going to want to get the incense going around your body, from your legs, feet, hands, arms, the whole 9 yards. The idea is to charge your body with this power, okay, with this the incense. Anyway, so you set it down, wave the smoke. Looking forward, fill my words with power, and anoint me thy priest, great and mighty Dingir enlil. Turn to the left, or do the smoke over the top of your head and say, before thee, great and mighty enlil, am I made the priest of the winds, as it is written in the covenants. To the left, I stand before thee, Aranuna, as priest of Enlil. Write it, Great Spirit. To the right, I stand before thee, Nanib, as priest of Enlil. Witness it, Great Spirit. Straightforward. So is the covenant of wind and of the air is complete, O ye mighty gods. An interesting note concerning Enlil that I forgot. Enlil is over the book of calling in the Simon Necronomicon. See, each of these elemental beings, they're not really elemental beings, but you get my point. They're over different sections of the Simon Necronomicon. And you've got to make a covenant with them ahead of time, because then and only then, when you're working the magic out of certain parts of them, they connect with certain beings. And if you've not made the covenant, they'll work. But if you want them to be really powerful, you want to create covenants with them. Well, and that's my take on all of it. I do a small shout out to my brother priest of the Necro, to Baron Inzu Abula Akazaj, Frater Nebo, my good buddy Kareem, and to all the people who watch these videos, to my subscribers. I appreciate it. I really do. I do the best I can. May not be the greatest, may not be the snazziest. Maybe I don't dress up and look so fancy. I am who I am, and I am, and you should be you. But I just wanted to say, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching the videos. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment. Email me, darkangelofthesun1010@gmail.com. Be more than glad to answer any questions you have. And I hope that this, I hope this helps. Even if you have to stop, pause, and write down all that stuff from that, or, drop me a message, give me your email, write me an email, and I'll respond with it in an email, the actual working, so that you can write it down yourself. Well, I wish you all a fair night and a fair day or morning wherever you are.